The console is something a lot of people fear. Sometimes it's strange, because a lot of people smoothly move through very complex tools that are able to perform complex operations needed in graphics, design, etc. And as soon as they hear the word console, they immediately shrink and become very fearful. It's rather unreasonable. The Linux console is available, and that's it. Any detailed knowledge about its commands is by no means necessary, but it is a very helpful tool, and you don't have to live in fear of it. It's good to get acquainted with it over time, because it brings additional functionalities, some of which cannot be used in the graphical interface. Daily activities, for example, modifying user data, editing data, setting time, installing applications, can be successfully performed using only the graphical environment. People who are very accustomed to the graphical environment on Windows will easily deal with those available on Linux. I encourage you to get acquainted with the console, because a lot more advanced operations can be done easier and faster when we know how to make use of the console. Of course, it will only be simpler and faster, provided that we can navigate the console fluently. Of course, for some operations, it doesn't make sense to learn complex tasks performed in the text mode, because clicking is just a lot faster than learning what is needed to describe the operation in a script. In extreme cases, if someone is really afraid of the command line and does not like to use manually typed commands, they can successfully use Linux, never running the console. Linux can be used just like Windows. However, I recommend that you take a closer look at the console, because it provides a lot of new possibilities and interesting solutions. Another aspect is the graphical user interface. Windows users are accustomed to one graphical interface. The question they usually ask is whether Linux has an interface like that. Of course it does. Linux has a very efficient, user-friendly graphical interface. With it, we can do almost everything that we could do on the Windows system, and some of its capabilities are extended much further. Unlike Windows, the graphical environment for Linux does not need to be running when we're not using it. We can work only in text mode. In some situations, for example, when the computer does not have a screen connected to it and is operating as a router, we can turn the graphical environment off and then save system resources. The computer will use less power, and the core functions of the system will be performed faster, since resources are not wasted on drawing windows, which no one would really have the chance to watch. This is not possible in Windows. Theoretically, there's something like that called PowerShell. However, it requires a running Windows graphical environment. Newer Windows Server versions can be installed in two modes, desktop or command line, but there's no possibility to switch between one and the other seamlessly. The solution on Linux is much more convenient. Another interesting feature that distinguishes Linux from Windows is that it doesn't have a predefined graphical environment. In fact, on Windows, we've just got one graphical environment, the appearance of which can only be changed using different kinds of templates, patterns, and similar things. On Linux, not only can we modify the appearance of the desktop environment to a similar or even much larger extent, but we can change it to an entirely different one that can have different options, features, and can be based on a different graphical library, so it may look and behave completely different. The multitude of environments available doesn't only allow us to customize the appearance and behavior of the system, the manner in which the windows are drawn, what capabilities the user interface provides, but lets us perform modification that significantly improves the comfort of working with the system. Numerous environments that provide different possibilities, sometimes duplicated, allow for much greater freedom when adapting the system's behavior to the user's needs, than Windows single environment. There are many varieties of desktop environments available on Linux. The question arises, which one to choose? In contrast to Windows, we choose between environments that are very light and very efficient, but provide very little graphic features. Such environments are designed just to draw a window without making it look pretty. There are some environments which are very similar to Windows XP, as well as fully developed environments that provide all the graphical features of Windows 7 Aero interface, or even the Metro interface, which is used by Windows 8. The simplest environments are TWN, Window Manager, and Fluxbox. These are the graphical environments that can run on any hardware. In particular, TWM Desktop Environment, which is very light, very simple, but clunky and counterintuitive. It's a good solution if we need a desktop environment, but we cannot afford to upgrade system resources, like, for example, on older machines, which have small amounts of memory and no support for the three-dimensional acceleration of LXDE. XFCE environments are a good choice. They look more or less like Windows XP, provide similar functionality, and do not require large resources. The most popular solutions, also those that require the most resources, are GNOME and the KDE environments. GNOME and KDE cannot run without 3D acceleration because of the desktop's graphic effects and more varied forms of presentation. System requirements are unfortunately relatively high. If you want to have a modern system, it's obvious that we need to provide modern equipment on which the system will be able to operate smoothly. Even lightweight environments like LXDE or XFCE provide all the functions that are necessary for the average Windows user. Sometimes they even allow you to do more, but still ensure high performance and a nice appearance. They can be used on slower computers. LXDE and XFCE require only 512 megabytes of RAM to work smoothly. In the next part of this course, I'll present 4 of perhaps the most important graphical environments.